My name is Jonathan Beri. I am from the developer relations team. I'm working on Google+. I spend most of my time in Hangouts, talking about Hangouts and building Hangout Apps. You can reach me on Google+. That's a quick link to my Google+ profile. And please follow me and share your thoughts and ask questions. That's actually the best way to get a hold of me. And that's me learning a little check. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to go just briefly over Google+. I know we've talked about it in the keynote, and there's other sessions about it, but it helps to set the stage of the discussion. And then we're going to go right into Hangouts. Why do we have Hangouts? Why are they important? And what makes them so good? You guys should look at that screen. Then we're going to actually go right into the code and talking about how you build an app, build a Hangout app, how you deploy that app, the key concepts you have to understand to build successful apps for Hangouts. Then dive into the very simple demo example, a little bit more than a hello world, an actual functional application. Then go through the API themselves. And finally, go through that big demo, what we call the putting it all together demo, and show you some of the code that we put in there to make it all work together. And finally, finishing off with any questions you might have. So Google+. The first thing to understand about Google+, and it may be obvious, but it's worth saying that it's about people. It's about putting people in the center of what we do. When you talk about applications, sometimes we have multi-user applications. It's a term we like to say. There are individuals in a game or in a product that have a profile account, but it's not people. It doesn't have interactions. It doesn't have experiences. And there's no change over time, right? And it's not natural, right? The web today, in a lot of applications, jail you in and make the experience complicated or counterintuitive. And the mission of the Google+ project is to bring natural experiences and the way we share things in the real life to the web. A big piece of that, you may have seen already, is circles. And with circles, we have the idea of controlling how you share, controlling how you build experiences in a way that's fun and modeling after the real world. It's also really important for all the other pieces of the project because circles are so much part of Google+. And also, it's really important for when you build applications to understand the sharing model and the privacy model. Another big part is the mobile component. You saw in the keynote 4 billion phones, something astronomical like that. And people share and experience life when they're on the go. And so building a mobile component that taps into that is crucial to Google+. And lastly, one of the biggest features that people seem to love are the Hangouts. Hangouts are a face-to-face-to-face, a rich video experience, but it's more than just video comm, right? And we'll go into more details because, after all, that's what today's talk's about. It's about Hangouts. So Hangouts, what and why? So I did a poll with some of the people here. Who's used Hangouts? I just want to do it again because there's more people. OK, great. Has anybody had a business meeting in a Hangout? Has anybody been in a Hangout with somebody in another country? OK, see, that's actually a really good use case. People are having meetings around the world, privately with their friends, or publicly. So let's go a little bit more into that. In your day-to-day life, you hang out all the time. You may not even realize it. When you're at the park having a soda and your friend stops by, you're hanging out. When you're at the mall having a hot dog or sausage, you're hanging out. And when you have an intimate dinner with your friends and having some wine, you're hanging out. And it's these experiences that are so important in the real life that don't make its way into the online realm, or at least not easily. So what we wanted to do is bring Hangouts to the web. And not only to the browser, but to the mobile. But the real question is, OK, so there's video chats that have been around for a while, but what makes Hangout special? And if you ever use a Hangout, you'll know there's a sort of a magical experience that's different than traditional video conferencing. And the reason that is because it's a seamless and natural experience. And there are built-in components into Hangouts that make it seamless and natural. The very first thing is the way you start a Hangout. There's a one-click button, you include some people, and you have a video conference. There's no scheduling, there's no video equipment to pre-configure. If it works on your machine, you can go do it. And not only that, you can join one on mobile. Now on the other side of the page is how you actually join a Hangout. You're sitting in Google Plus, or you're scrolling through your phone, and all of a sudden you get this pop, and it's a Hangout. It's like your friends walking by and saying, hey, do you want to go watch a movie? It's that natural experience. And they can go ahead and click and join, or they can just let it go on by, just like if somebody said, hey, I'm busy. Of course, like I said already a couple times, it's about the circles. When you want to have a dinner party, you're going to invite some people because you only have some food, or you want to have a certain conversation. So circles let you do that. But we also have public Hangouts. And public Hangouts have been really, really popular. There are physics classes on public Hangouts. There are silent meditation in public Hangouts. There's cooking courses, there's debates, there's concerts. And it's all through the circles and the Hangouts. And one more piece that's sort of unique to Hangouts is the richness of the video experience. You can have up to 10 people in a Hangout with high quality audio, video, and chat. And people can come and they can go. You can invite new people, but it's a high quality experience that traditionally you have to pay a lot of money to even get close to that. And it's a free product. The last bit that I think makes Hangouts feel seamless and natural are these human gestures. For example, in a Hangout, when somebody says something, the mic automatically picks up that volume and switches the camera to that person. That's like if you're in a room and somebody says, hey, I have an idea, and everybody just naturally turns to that person. You don't realize it when you do it every day, but in the web, that didn't function so well. And so we added that. Another great example is if somebody's really chatty, or they forget that they're outdoors and it's noisy, you can mute their mic. And it's like a silent shh, you're in a library. Again, a natural and seamless feature. Now, with video chat, there's a lot of good use cases, but there's additional types of experiences that you have in the real world that you can't just do with video. And those, I'm calling them in-room actions, but they're apps, right? So when you're on your couch and you're watching a TV with your friend, that's a Hangout, right? So when we first launched Google Plus with Hangouts, we added the YouTube application. If you haven't seen it, it is a traditional YouTube player, but when somebody starts a video clip, everybody in the Hangout has the opportunity to see the same video clip. And if somebody joins late, they start at the exact same place that everybody else in the Hangout is at in the video, just like if somebody sits on the couch next to you. More recently, we've introduced Hangouts with Extras. Hangouts and Extras introduces a slew of new functionality, new unique applications that are pre-built into Hangouts. A very simple one is we allow named Hangouts. You can actually pick a name and a unique URL. So if you're having a public event that's recurring, it's really easy to share. But one of the more requested features is the built-in integration with Google Docs, which I did demo at the keynote today. And not just not just the documentation, but spreadsheets and drawing, people using it for whiteboarding. Another big popular one is the screen sharing. You can share your desktop, you can share an individual application. It really helps if you're trying to explain, let's say, an application you're writing, or showing a piece of artwork that you can't really communicate over video. Now, this is a developer conference, so I'm sure everybody in the room this morning was thinking about, how do I make my own app? So just at the same time we launched Hangout with Extras, we also launched the Hangouts in Developer Preview. And in Developer Preview, you can create Hangout Apps. And so what are Hangout Apps? Traditional web-based HTML, CSS, JavaScript applications that you write, you upload to our servers, and we host it for all the participants. It's wrapped in simple declarative XML that you use to say things like the name of your application and include some features. If you've ever done any gadget development, you might feel really comfortable here because it's modeled after that same paradigm with a little bit of differences that I'll go over. And lastly, we include a set of APIs that allow you to access pieces of the Hangout, such as the microphone or the chat, and something that's pretty unique to Hangouts, and that's a real-time API backend called shared state. And that way you can build real-time applications or collaborative applications without having to set up your own infrastructure. And it's super simple to use, and we're going to go through that. And here is the most basic app ever. It doesn't get simpler than this. You can see that it's just XML, and it's wrapped in a giant module tag. Within that module tag, you have one module pref section, and that's where you put some of your metadata. So the title of the application that we show to the user. Some of the features, which are basically things like supporting the RPC stuff, that's the back end for the APIs, and nothing else. You really don't have to change beyond this. Then there's a content section. The content section is just a C data and your code. You can put all your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript inline right here, or you can include it externally. You can even put some of your code in App Engine on our new Cloud Data Store or some of the other services we have, however you want to choose. It's just a web page, right? But the only difference here is it's hosted by us and it's served from our CDN. So that makes it a faster user experience, but there's some things you have to understand and take into consideration when you build your application. Now, this is the actual Hangout app running. It's a screenshot. But what you should know is you get this entire real estate that I've highlighted here. What we do is take your code, put it on our servers, serve it as an iframe. Whatever you code into your application, we show it. So you have as much flexibility as you would with a traditional iframed application. You can have scrolling content, you can have dynamic content, you can have Ajax content, and we give this real estate. You can actually adjust the height too. It's a dynamic layout, so depending on the user's browser, you might have to be a little clever with your CSS, but it's your free canvas to work with. How you deploy apps. I did mention that we're in a developer preview. And as part of that, there's a few steps you have to take care of to make sure that you can actually deploy your app and test it. If you've ever used our API console, we're using that as part of the developer preview. Now you can share your apps with other developers that you pre-register, but it's not publicly available for end users. Certainly you can get your friends and family to help you try out your apps, but they can't go into the traditional Google Plus page and install it. So there's some words to take care of. So the API console, for those who haven't used it, is at code.google.com. And that's how you register with all applications on the Google Plus platform and other Google products. You create a project, agree to some terms, and add your app. Here's a screenshot of the console. You'll notice there's a little service. All you have to do is flip that on. It doesn't get simpler than that to enable Hangouts into our project. Once you have enabled the Hangouts, you take your application where you just have to host it somewhere. We suck that down and we push it up to the application server. I'm going to show you that in seconds. Once you save that on our servers, we generate this link. That link is actually a unique URL for your application, and that's how you share with other people. You take that link, you can send it over IM, you can email it to them, you can share it on Google Plus, which is, if any of you noticed, that's how I demoed it today. And whichever way, you can reuse that link for while you're developing. So some key concepts for apps. The first one is the API itself. There's a hangout.js that I included in that previous slide, and that's where we provide you with the JavaScript APIs to access components of the Hangouts. And there's right now 5 different namespaced APIs. There's one for the participants. So all the members of the Hangouts, you can learn things about them. Their Google Plus information, their current state, whether they have a mic at all, is it muted, things like that. The shared data, which is that real-time backend that allows you to build real-time applications. The audio-video components, so muting somebody's camera and that kind of features. Layout, which is kind of a lightweight API, but do they have the app enabled? Is the chat pane open? Is it closed? And then the Hangout information in general. So what's the locale of the Hangout? What's the Hangout ID? The programming style is asynchronous, and it's JavaScript after all. If you've done JavaScript development, you know how this works. This is very natural for you. But for anybody else, you register a callback with one method, and that method gets called whenever an event occurs. It's event-based programming. So for the example that I showed here, we have the gappy.hangout.addParticipant callback. So that callback listener is basically saying whenever a participant joins the group, joins the Hangout, let me know. So there's a fake myCallback method, and every time a participant joins the Hangout, we call the myCallback method, and we pass in some data, and it works great. There are some synchronous methods too, so get participants, get mic volume, and that's useful for things like bootstrapping and initialization, or whenever you want to check the stats that's not related to an event. Now the shared state. Here's a fictitious example. There's a participant Wolf and there's a participant Beri, and they both have the same app installed. Wolf does something, right, that goes to the shared state server. And it's, let's say, move my robot, right? So we send that move my robot information to the Hangout server. Then the Hangout server handles the callback and sends it to every participant. So any action that's part of the shared state is available to every other member. And that's very useful for building very simple interactions, and also very useful for rich real-time interactions. It's not useful for secure or applications that require security, but it's there. Okay, now simple demo. I showed you a screenshot before, so I'm actually going to switch to that. So I've created a simple example. This is already pre-registered. I've enabled the Hangouts, and I've pre-registered this demo. This demo is actually publicly available. You can use it after this talk to play with it. I'm going to start this Hangout. Let's see if anybody from the Google Plus team is in the room. All right, Brad's here. First thing you'll notice is this scary-looking red font. That's just to let you know as developers that it's in developer preview, and just in case you think you're about going public with it. So I'm going to join this Hangout. I got to share it with Brad. Ha! Forgot that piece. So like I said, I could do this over IM, but I think it's easier to share it with Plus. Simple demo. And while Brad is joining, some callouts, simple HTML header, right? But there's two parts to the demo. Ooh, the screen resolution is horrible. Can you guys read that? Okay, fine. There's a counter here, there's some numbers here, and there's some buttons. So what this is showing you is Brad just joined, and this counter went up. So we have a callback listener measuring how many participants in the room. If he would leave, that would go down to 1. We also have this current count. What happens is, if I click that button, it goes up to 1. Now, if Brad clicks the button, it goes up to 2. And if we keep on doing this and we're having this fun little race, Brad can keep on. This is shared state. My app is pushing into the shared state, and so is Brad's, and I'm able to access on all the different applications. His number is going to be in sync with that. You can't see this here. And then on the right-hand side, just to show you that you can, we have an Ajax call. And that's calling a third-party server. So your regular back-end systems that you may have, like databases or different analytics engines, you can work with those too from a Hangout app. So let's go back to the presentation. Thanks, Brad. Oh. I should exit the Hangout. Okay. So the HTML is not interesting at all. Take my word for it. It's just a couple of tags, the buttons, and some of the divs. This code is available online, but I wouldn't even read it. What's interesting is the JavaScript. So I'm going to go through some of the JavaScript. The first part that's interesting is that count button click, and that's the one that made the number go up. I've highlighted what's really what you should be paying attention to. The first method, or the first call that I highlighted, gappy.hangout.data.getState. And what the getState method does is it gets the state. So that's calling the shared state server and saying, give me any piece of data you have. Give me all of it. And this is a sort of initialization call. And if you saw, it said probably 0. So it's 0, right? There's no data yet. And then the next one is submit delta. So what submitting delta does, we have this blob that we can store JSON objects to. And we could keep on rewriting the file over and over again, or we can do a submit delta. And that just gives you a small change. So with things like, I want to add a new field, or I want to change an existing field, you'd submit a delta. That means on the other side, your participating applications only get a smaller bit of code, and then it's faster process, and it's better that way, right? And you can see that's all you need to do to share state. The backend handles the storing the data and the processing the data. We handle the pushing it to your application, and we minimize the time as fast as we possibly can. Bless you. For the rest of the code, you can see things like get the state. One thing I want to call out is the participant updated, and that's a callback listener. So now it's the callback that we register at the top. Where did we register that? Participant array. Oh, we had that participant array somewhere else, and it's going to call this method saying every time a participant goes up, please give me your participant information. So that participant array gets passed by the callback handler, and the console.log will print it out on the command line, and then we'll also modify that inner HTML of that div that said 1 participant, 2 participants. Very simple. You could actually clean this up with jQuery or other libraries, but this is for demonstration purposes. Now the example on the right was the Ajax call. Now this is an iframe, so you'll have some cross-domain issues to deal with. If it's your own servers, luckily with 80% of the browsers out there, you can use cores. I don't know if whoever's in the last talk, Fred mentioned about cores and doing cross-domains. It's really simple to do. All you have to do is add a cores header, and it works fine. If you can build a proxy, that also works too. Personally, I like a really slick library called EasyXDM. You can get it at easyxdm.net. If you ever had to build crazy apps that do a lot of cross-domain stuff, this does every hack in the industry and packages up into one library, so you don't have to worry about it. And it actually works really, really well. That's if you want to do mashups or things that you don't have control over. I still recommend cores if you can. And last bit about the code, we have some init handlers. So one is for the DOM. So you can register an init handler for the DOM. And we also have an API handler. So you can have something load when DOM ready and then do something when API ready. And we didn't actually implement it and just say it register onload handler for the DOM stuff, and then it starts adding some listeners, and then we have the API ready. You can do something more interesting there, or maybe more useful, depending on if you're waiting for third-party applications and whatever. So now I'm actually going to go through the API. So this all is documented on our developer site, which I'll share a link later, but these are the major namespaces and key APIs that you should be comfortable with. So first is a participant namespace. Get participant ID. One thing to keep track of is everybody in a Hangout is a Google Plus user, and they have their Google Plus ID. But they're also a participant user. So they have a different participant ID, and that's for good reason. If you are a user can actually be in multiple Hangouts at a time. A user can actually log into a Hangout multiple times. So this way you can have different participant IDs, and then each participant has their own canonical Google Plus Hangout ID. And you can obviously use that to make sure you figure out who's who, and also for those weird edge cases. Then I demoed the add participant listener, so that registers, okay, tell me whenever somebody joins, and give me some information, and then get participant ID, by ID. So once you have that ID, you can get some more information from them. When you register that callback listener, or use the synchronous call, we pass in a JavaScript object that has some useful information. It gives that Hangout ID, that unique Hangout ID that you saw in the URL, whether the person actually has the app installed, because you can have people in a Hangout without the app. And then some Google Plus information, so their URL, their photo, and their display name. You can actually use our other API, our public data API, to get more information about a user. But that's for another talk. I think Chris is doing a talk right after this about those APIs. So you can actually use them both together, which is pretty cool. The shared state call. Get state, submit deltas, add a new listener. Those are the main ones. When you do the submit delta, or when you get the callback for submit delta, we actually allow you to pass in updates or removes. And when you get the callback, you get the add, what was added, what was removed. You can get the full state, so the entire blob, and then some additional metadata about the current, what's going on in the shared state. This is really easy to implement, especially if you're trying to do more complex Java applications and like the shared state idea, which is really compelling, and you don't have to worry about it. So people are building things like code, collaborate editors, video games, project management software, and they have their own backend for shared state, and they're basically throwing it away because now they get it free and they don't have to pay the crazy server costs. So it's cool, awesome. Everything in Google Plus as an app should be real time, because why not, right? There's AV controls. So we try and expose everything in the actual Hangout into the API. In the demo, you saw the robot was talking with my voice, and that's because it was listening to my mic. But you can do things not just listen to the input of the mic, but do they have a mic? Do they have a camera? Is it muted? We have like a fun little one, a set avatar. So you have a video stream, but if you don't have a camera, we display your Google Plus profile pic. We actually have a demo that's pretty cool that rewrites your image with a video. So that talking robot actually becomes your face. So you can check that out on the developer site. Layout, it's useful if you're interested in chat, if your application relies on the built-in chat. Is it enabled? Who's the currently active speaker? This highlight thing is when somebody's talking, there's a little yellow highlight. So, are they highlighted? And clear the highlight. But it's useful if you need it. And last is the Hangout metadata. So for a particular user or participant, is their app visible, right? Because you can collapse it. What's their locale? Who's the active speaker for the entire Hangout? So those are all the APIs, or sorry, all the namespaces. There are actually a few more method calls that kind of slice and dice the data in different ways. And of course, there's mics and videos and things like that I can go over on the website, which I'll link to in a minute. So the demo 2, this is the one we showed in the keynote. Some things to note, it uses almost all the APIs. So we have participant information. You saw my profile picture. We have the audio video with the mic. We use the shared state where the robots are actually walking around and we're seeing the updates. And we didn't mention this, but it was actually written in Flash for a very good reason. Game developers are really interested in building Hangout apps. So we just showed that you can build it in Flash. Of course, you can do an HTML canvas or regular DOM. So let me switch over to that app. I know you already saw it, but now you can actually see it being launched. And I'm going to share this with Brad also. All right, my hair looks good. All right, so this looks like the image that you get when you first start a Hangout. It's actually the Flash app. It's our loading screen. So this is a regular Swift game, right? And there's some magic that we have to do to make it work with the APIs, and we're going to walk through that code. The demo this morning liked it, but not now, huh? Let's try it again. It'd be funny if it worked in the keynote, but not now. There's me. No luck, Brad? No luck. Okay, well, that's fine. You guys saw the shared state. But, okay, this is interesting. So talking, we registered a callback listener for the AV, and every time it picks up any sound, it animates that head. The photo, that's actually my Google Plus profile photo. So in the participant object, it gets my photo URL, and it drops it into that image. When I move, it passes my future location to the shared state, and it passes over to Brad and other participants. And whenever he moves, I can get that information. That's, again, a callback listener. And then the root beer, that's just because it's fun to drink beer. Oh, they say beer, root beer. OK, that's great. Let's get back to the presentation. For anybody who does Flash development, this is going to be kind of lightweight. For anybody who's just like, oh, OK, Flash, what? This is just informative. So what we did was we dropped a Swift. That's the game. And it's an iframe, like I mentioned, right? So this Swift is on this page. And all we had to do was build a lightweight shim in JavaScript to call the methods in JavaScript and pass that call down to Flash, and vice versa. Flash calls our shim and then passes it to JavaScript. And outside of that shim, the programming is like you were just doing in just JavaScript. This is just, if anybody actually wants to try it, you have to go around some security issues because it's a Flash inside an iframe, and then you're doing cross-domain calls, but it works. So just note that. So inside the gadget, inside that XML, what you do is you grab the Flash object, right? And you register some methods into that. And then if you notice, there's a receive participant removed. That is a callback listener inside the action script. So action script has this great library called external interface that allows you to register those methods, and that JavaScript is pulling off those methods through the external interface. And it's natural the object gets passed around. And vice versa, if you want to call from the Flash, you do that through external interface.call, and that gets participant update. And what that's doing is calling this JavaScript method that wraps the Gappy API. And then the object gets passed like a regular JSON object, so you got to stringify it. But otherwise, it's as if you were building it in JavaScript. So that's actually really easy to do. If you want to reuse the code, we're going to throw that in our repo. Otherwise, do HTML5. And I showed a game. I showed some simple demos. A lot of people have been talking to us about using this for business purposes, like collaboration or productivity. But there's a lot more opportunity here that I want to pique your interest. So whatever you're developing, think how big this box is and go outside of it. We've seen people designing education-based applications, so having courses in there, like a Blackboard application. People have been talking to us about medicine for diagnostic purposes, remote medicine. Games is a natural fit here. Real-time applications, it goes well with the shared state. Productivity, like project planning or unique tools for a particular industry, like a warehouse application. Sciences, research, astronomy, different ways of using the video plus this unique application that spans across multiple people. A great use case is architecture, so having a 3D model in CAD. But also, ultimately, anything that's creative that words don't do well in email or video is just not enough. We actually want to show them what you're trying to convey. And a topic that I really like is music and collaboration and anything to do with entertainment, like the YouTube app or whatever you can create. So for more information, we launched a new developer site that you should check out. It's developers.google.com. That's going to be the home for the Google Plus platform and other products at Google. Specifically, if you go to Google /plus, the plus symbol, that will take you to the entire Google Plus platform. There's plus/Hangouts for this product, and then each of our public APIs is like /APIs, and then we have the +1 that has its own URL. But you can find all the information at /plus. We have a very active discussion forum dedicated just to Google Plus platform with subcategories. I think there's subcategories for each product. My team is there. There's about 10 of us who just hang out in the forums answering questions. We actually have community members answering questions, so it's a good place to engage with other Google Plus platform developers. Of course, we're doing office hours and Hangouts. So every week we have these public Hangouts to ask questions about anything related to Google Plus, specifically for developers. So whether it's how to use this API, what do you think of my idea, or there's a feature in Google Plus that I don't understand, and I want to understand it so I can build a better application, that's the perfect avenue. And we're doing that. We post the hours and how to find it on there. We're going to be adding more soon so we can cover more parts of the world. But it's a great, we get people from like Nigeria and Berlin and China, and they're all just developers building cool stuff. And we also have fun demos because people share what they build, so another great place to find it. Again, my links, jonathanberry.com/plus, that's my Google Plus, that takes you right to my Google Plus account. You can also email me, but I am on Google Plus all day, every day. I'm on it right now. And you can always ask me a question publicly or just a private. I also share a lot of cool applications for inspiration from other people. People have been building open source libraries, just applications they're sharing the code, or just places to check out. So I'll share those there. And we have, my whole team is obviously on Google Plus, and we share contact information. So if you have a question, let's say about the +1 button, and I don't know it, I can connect you with the right person that way. I think at that, I am ready to take questions if you have any questions. I also have swag for good questions. So let's start.
A few questions.
Is there a mic? I don't think we're using it.
First, if there are some legal limitations, if I would like to do some Hangouts for money,
So I'm not a lawyer. So I can't give you legal advice. I'm especially not a lawyer in the Czech Republic, so I definitely won't.
I mean, on Google side, if there are some limitations.
So we don't have a monetization venue right now with Google Plus, especially the Hangouts part. There's terms of service that you should review, and you know.
Also, if it's limited only to G+ users,
yes.
There is no way to do some guest users or something.
Well, built into the system, there's no way to invite Facebook users, for example, or any other external. But I would say there's been really creative application developers. For example, it is an application. You can get data in and out. You can have applications elsewhere that you can get data in and out. So there is a possibility to engage with other users elsewhere.
Also, because about the business usage, because problem with Google Apps users, they cannot use Hangouts or anything.
So your question is, okay. Right now, Google Plus is only limited to Gmail users, and we've said time and time again that moving it to Google Apps users is a #1 priority for our team, and they're actively working on it. It gets kind of tricky because in enterprise situations, you have a lot of rules around controlling who has access to what. So making sure we get that model right, because you can imagine if something was leaked when it shouldn't be, or you don't want your users playing games. So that's some of the challenges we're working through to make the paid enterprise customers have a great experience. And I know that they're actively working on it, and it's going to be coming soon.
Also, if you plan to connect it with Google Talk, there is also video, but it's not connected.
So a little bit about the underpinnings. The technology for Hangouts is actually built on our Google Talk platform. Right now, there is no chat that ties in. Actually, if you do a one-to-one Hangout, if you just invite one person from one circle, we actually do a chat notification. I think that's still the case. But that's useful for if you just want to say, hey, listen, I know you're on Google Plus right now, but can you join the Hangout? But yeah, that's a great feature, and I can surely pass that along.
And also, if it's possible to do also chat without video, just audio chat.
So if a participant doesn't, if a participant doesn't have a mic or a camera,
if I would set up just audio only,
you can't control what the user has. But if they only have audio, then it'll still work fine.
Yeah, I mean I don't want to use video at all. For no one, I just want audio for speed, for example, because it's a bit problems.
Yeah. Right now, the only configuration you have around the Hangout is in Hangout with Extras. You can set the name and the URL. You can't say this Hangout can not use mics. So, but that's also a great feature request. All right, you get a pin. There's a lot of questions.
Thank you.
Is there any way to record the videos of the Hangout?
Again, I'm going to say I'm not a lawyer. The reason why we don't have it is because there's legal issues. In the United States, for example, every member of the Hangout has to give legal consent for their likeliness to be recorded. If somehow you manage to get that arrangement, then yes, you can. I will tell you that a lot of the Hangouts are being recorded with simple screen sharing software, but we don't provide that functionality. Yes?
Okay, I have a question about security.
Mm-hmm.
Do I understand it correctly that everyone who has a link can join the Hangout? Or can you restrict the Hangout to certain participants?
So first, let's talk about the developer preview. The developer preview, yeah, you can get the link, and that will work. And that makes it so you can actually easily share it with your participants. For the apps themselves, they won't actually work for somebody who just grabs the link. They may be able to join. You have to register them in the developer console. But with the Hangouts, we have that concept of circles and how to restrict people from joining. Yes?
Is the communication encrypted or?
It is not encrypted. So don't do anything that you that you're worried about. Oh, you guys can get stickers. Yeah.
How about Hangout Apps on mobile version of Google Hangouts?
I would love that. It's currently not available, but I would love that. You have another question? All right, go for it.
Is it possible to put some parameters to the URL for Hangouts, which I could get from the application?
Give me an example.
For example, I would like to put the Hangout on my website, so someone can speak with me, but I would like to know from which page he came, so we can speak about that page. If I can put it to the URL and then get it from there.
Right. So currently we don't have sort of this Hangout widget. That's certainly a great idea. During the developer preview, certainly you can add some parameters there. It probably won't get passed down to the application because it's through an iframe and we do some rewriting. But that's a great use case to add a new type of widget. Questions? More questions? And then you.
If the Hangout application is hosted on the Google servers, does it go through some evaluation process?
No. Right now we serve whatever's in your CData tag.
Okay, so and there was a question about monetization.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no way right now I can monetize the application?
Well, there's no way that we provide you to monetize.
Can I put PayPal button inside the application?
You can. You can also put a Google Checkout button on the application. I'm pretty sure the terms don't restrict that, but I don't want to commit to that. But there are concerns with PayPal and how you do nested iframes, so you might want to look into that and consider.
Okay, if I will use Google Checkout, will it be possible?
Review the terms, especially here. So it functionally will work. Whether it's legally okay, I can't answer that. I'm sorry. And then you?
Like a few weeks ago, there was added desktop sharing
Yes.
feature. And are you going to provide desktop and video sharing both, like for webinars or something like that?
So with Hangout with Extras, we actually demoed the docs part of it. But if you try it today, and when you launch the Hangout, you choose Extras, you can see how sharing works. It's a shared desktop, and we replace your video with whatever you choose to show, and you can see all the other participants while you're doing the Hangout. And then when you disable the sharing, then your camera comes back.
Okay, so because when I tested, there was like my video disappeared on only desktop.
Yes, that's how it works. It replaces one stream with the other.
But I would like to stream both streams.
Right.
Desktop and video as well.
Currently, it's not capable of doing that.
Right now, but will be in future or it's like not?
I don't know, but that's a good thing to consider.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Yeah, I just wondered if it's possible to control who will see the video stream, where he will log in, or if I make the URL public and then got some database of users who can use it, if I can check in the application my database and disallow the user to see the stream.
So one of the things with Hangouts right now, you can't really manipulate a user. So if they if they have a camera, you can't say no, you can't use the camera. If you can mute their camera, but they can go ahead and unmute it, right? Because they have ultimate control over their browser. But I understand what you're getting at. There are different ways you can get around that or make it a different type of solution. We can talk more about it offline. It sounds like you have a use case that you're dying to implement. So, any more questions? So again, oh yeah.
Is it possible to actually kick out a user?
You can actually do that without the application, right? You can kick out somebody who's being disruptive. You can mute them. You can kick them out. You can do a little bit of administrative tasks, but they can always come back in if it's possible. So again, add me on Google+, ask me your questions, grab me after if you're not going to another session. And I lied a little bit because I have this for everybody. I just use it as pawns to get you to ask more questions. So come on if you want these, otherwise, thank you.